That's a legitimate question. I've said that if you want to begin to ask all those questions, then you ask two fundamental questions, related questions. And I see the crisis of the Nigerian state as the crisis of values, crisis of values, and a crisis of structure. Those are
what kind of structure?
Yes. For instance, the impression we give is that we practice a federal system of government. That's the impression. But in reality, it's unitary. Yeah, because fundamental to federalism are certain basic issues. For instance, you need to develop powers to the federating units. You need to guarantee the autonomy of the federating units. You need to ensure that you have true fiscal federalism. But you find out that in most situations, powers are over-concentrated at the center, at the expense of the federating units. And you find the federating units going cap in hand to the center to beg for funds for development. That is anti-federalism. So those are the basic problems. Those are the basic foundation. And we need to address that. We need to address that if we need to move forward. But in spite of all those deficiencies, if a government comes into power, notwithstanding all those inadequacies, and it intends to move forward, then you should necessarily recognize that such a government will have to contend with these challenges. Okay. And this is what is happening now. And in spite of these challenges, this government is trying to say, okay, let us recover funds. You can see that the emphasis of this administration is on loot recovery. Yeah. Loot recovery. Okay. Because except you have funds, you cannot guarantee, as long as you have resources, you cannot achieve developmental indicators.
Okay, let's get Markwe's questions in. Markwe.
Well, you talked about, strengthening institutions, and people will believe that would include institutions in all three arms of government. But then one of the institutions that a lot of people believe that if you're going to prosecute a successful war against corruption is the judiciary. They believe that the judiciary will have a key role to play. And for a number of people, they believe that the Administration of Criminal Justice Act was a good move in that direction, but has not covered a lot of ground. There's still work to be done in other areas. For instance, the executive arm of government that holds the police, that also houses the prison service. How do you think that efficiency can be achieved in terms of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act and the administration of justice in general, so that there is also a deterrence for people?
Thank you very much. I think if you look at the philosophy behind the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, it is to ensure speedy dispensation of justice and to forestall the element of a delay in the administration of justice. And you see a lot of measures, a lot of far-reaching provisions are contained in that. For instance, corruption-related cases and some other cases in that category are supposed to be fast-tracked in terms of trial day by day and all that, and then you cannot not even stay proceedings on the ground of interlocutory applications to the appellate court and some other far-reaching provisions. So that law is good on paper, very good.
In practice,
it's good on paper.
What about practice?
I think the challenge is how to effectively implement the law. That's what I'm saying. We need to implement. We need to have the necessary wherewithal, the political will to implement the law, and that law also has to be domesticated.
Okay, well, we need to
around the states.
They tell me we need to implement a break now. All right, it's our concluding moments now, but before that, let's get Markwe's question in again. Markwe?
Well, thank you, Chamberlain. Some people will actually ask if we're serious about this battle against corruption because we have done nothing about our Police Act. We've done nothing about the Prisons Act. The only area where we've done something, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, you just said it, that it's an excellent law on paper, but it's very difficult to implement. So are we really serious on this war against corruption?
I think we are more than serious. And I think you've made the point by making reference to the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. All those concerns that you have raised are covered by the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. Reforms of the police, reforms of the Prisons Act, and some other stakeholders in the Administration of Justice. I think, but one thing that is important for us to ask is part of the excellent performance of EFCC. Why has Magu not been confirmed? Why has it not been confirmed? No, this is not saying if somebody is, do you change a winning team? If somebody is posting impressive performance in terms of, in terms of loot recovery, in terms of prosecutions, in terms of all aspects of the corruption fight, why are we not enlisting in advocacy that Magu should be confirmed? Not because it's indispensable, but because he's doing a lot of wonderful job. And then a letter is lying there in the Senate for such a length of time without the issue being addressed. That bothers me. If somebody like Magu is allowed to be frustrated, in spite of...
You think that's what's going on?
Yes! In spite of his desire to sanitize this country, Magu has gone through a lot. If you look at his history, because the man is incredibly honest.
But he'll have so much.
Honest!
He'll have so
and
much.
is determined
he will have,
to fight corruption to a standstill.
He will have just that much to contend with in trying to carry out this fight against corruption. As Malpe just asked, what about the police? What must be done about the police reform agenda, just so that the police is better equipped to also assist in fighting corruption?
We have talked about institutional building. When we are talking of institutional building, we are not just talking about the police. We are talking of all institutions, including the police, the prisons, the judiciary, the press. All institutions must be beefed up.
Let's wrap up
in
with
order
this
to
one.
enlist.
Wrap up with this. Now,
corruption.
at the end of the day, at the end of this administration, no matter how long it is, when they finish and then another comes on the saddle, do you then think that if we don't continue in that same mindset, would you confidently say that, yes, we did institutionalize the fight against corruption?
I think that point has been made. For the first time in the history of this country, we have a president who has been adjudged locally and internationally as not corrupt. We also have a vice president of that orientation.
No, we're not talking about...
What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you agree with me that this government has done excellently well in fighting corruption.
I'm talking about
and then in addressing, institutionalizing anti-corruption.
Yeah.
But the only area that this government needs to do a lot of work is in fixing the economy. Ensuring that the economy is fixed to deliver food to the table of the average Nigerian, addressing issues of shelter, unemployment and all that. In terms of the economy, they need a lot of work to do.
Mr. Wahab, a lecturer in law at Faculty of Law, University of Lagos, also a legal practitioner. Thank you very much indeed for coming on this morning. We will be back in a moment. Join us again.